a lot of what people know about personal finance is caught, not taught. So they just pick up, and a lot of it is assumptions that people pick up along the way from their family or friends, because there is a lot of shame around money and it's not talked about openly. So people carry around these assumptions that is one of the things that we can help to demystify.
Today, we're joined by Molly Fohrer, COO at a company called Your Moneyline. And Molly really brings a super unique perspective at the intersection of financial wellness and health insurance, helping individuals and employers navigate some of the most complex yet costly decisions that they face. So Molly, super excited to have you today. I think that this is obviously the ICHRA Exclusive Podcast. So we talk all things ICHRA. This is really the first kind of solution that I would say is like an adjacent solution where you're not kind of leading an employee benefits brokerage or on the carrier side, but really more on the benefits side, kind of working to provide a solution to employers that they can really utilize to help their people. But before we dive into what Your Moneyline's all about, I did just want to share for the listeners, you and I, this is a little bit of a full circle moment. We're sitting here in our Indianapolis, Indiana location. Just across the street is kind of the old building that we actually used to work together in when we were both kind of at this very fast-growing health analytics company called Springbuck, doing self-funded health analytics. And I remember, Molly, when we hired you, I think I was maybe 6 months into the job, and we got to work on a lot of the same accounts and had a lot of fun kind of in that growing business back in the day. So now you're on doing just incredible things, COO for another kind of growing company in Indy in the benefit sphere. So it's a huge treat to have you. And I just want to say thanks for being our guest.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It definitely is a little reunion here in the Union building. So happy to be here.
Awesome. And for our national listeners, Remodel is based in Indianapolis. So you'll see kind of the Indy skyline in the background. And we're like just a few blocks away from where the Colts play football for our setting today. And it's finally like spring. So I'm in like short sleeves. I'm actually getting ready to go on spring break. I know, Molly, you said your family's going to go on.
Yes, going to Florida.
Going to Florida. So it's the spring break time of year. So yeah, we'll talk benefits here for 20, 30 minutes. And then we got some fun stuff coming down the pike. But yeah, would love to start. For those who aren't familiar, you help lead Your Moneyline. What is Your Moneyline all about?
Yeah. So our mission at Your Moneyline is financial confidence and stability for all. So we work through employers. So employees access us as a benefit, and it is both software that they can access. So think budgeting tools, credit monitoring, most recently tax filing, and then courses and content. But then they also have access to accredited financial coaches who are really trained in an empathetic and shame-free approach to financial coaching. We call them financial guides. And we're really there to help employees meet their financial goals and really feel supported by their employers.
I love that. So a couple things that like tie nicely into how we think about health benefits at Remodel. So you kind of shared it's a blend at Your Moneyline. It's really a blend of technology and people.
Yes.
People that lead with empathy. So you're kind of working with the end employees as they're kind of navigating this personal wellness kind of aspect of their own financial wellness at Remodel. So why I was so like interested to have you on, like, I just think that there's such a connection between kind of what our businesses do. Yes. Although we're kind of in different lanes, I'd say we're like running alongside one another. So a lot of employers that make this shift from a traditional group health plan to an ICHRA. So they go from giving, kind of defining their benefit plan to saying, hey, we're just going to give pre-tax dollars to employees, and we're going to give the employees choice to figure out what plan works best for them and their family. One of the things I love about that model is that for many employees, if the group health plan historically had really high costs, those employees' out-of-pocket costs were really high typically as well, because obviously there's a cost share there. When you move to an ICHRA, a lot of times it opens up a lot more financial flexibility where it's actually a lever that the employee can pull and actually give them a little more dollars in their personal finances. If it reduces their cost of healthcare, they've got a little more additional dollars where they can be creative and maybe go try to tackle some other kind of financial goals or debt or work toward financial goals that they're kind of working to accomplish.
Yep.
So would love to hear kind of from your perspective. I know that a lot of times your advisors are also like trained on kind of the health insurance side
Yes.
to be able to like consult. So like talk to me about kind of how you all think about that process of working with employees as they're kind of working to address their personal financial challenges.
Yeah, there's definitely so much alignment, and we saw that as we continued to talk about it as we prepped for this. But yeah, so we are there to help employees through a lot of different changes on the employer level. So any kind of major changes to the health plan, like you said, we can help with those terms that tend to be really mystifying in healthcare, like deductible, copay, coinsurance. What does this mean? What does it mean to contribute to an HSA? How should I think about how much to contribute? So we can help with benefits enrollment in that way and make sure that people feel set up for success. And much like finances, it can have a stigma around it, and people can feel like, oh, I don't know anything about that, so I'm going to avoid it, right? And we can help really provide a safe space for people to learn a little bit more about that and make sure they're making those effective decisions for their family. And then if they do have excess funds, if they do have savings they've achieved, then understanding what is the best use of those dollars. And the empathetic component comes in, and sort of the people-centered component comes in, because we think about, okay, what are your values, right?
Yeah.
What's important to you in your life? Not just, okay, well, you should save this money or you should pay off this debt first. It's really looking at behavioral finance, understanding what are those person's values, and okay, how do we allocate those dollars appropriately in a way that's going to meet their financial goals and align with their values. So the tools in our software can help with that, and our coaches help with those conversations and really to guide people along that journey.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. And I also think like bigger picture. So like one of the other reasons I was excited to have you today is we meet all the time. So as ICHRA adoption grows, more bigger and bigger employers are open to shifting to this ICHRA framework.
Right.
And with bigger employers looking at ICHRA, many of the employers that transition that we work with, they were previously self-funded. So they've had years and years of building these, how they think about wellness, their wellness programs. Maybe some of those are even like clinical. The move to ICHRA all of a sudden kind of changes how the HR and leadership team think about the additional benefits that were previously built to layer on top of a self-funded plan. The employer moves to an ICHRA, and now they're no longer managing a health plan. It's a defined contribution. So what I love about like for ICHRA from an innovation standpoint is I think we're in like the very beginning of employers thinking about how they use their wellness dollars differently. When all of a sudden now they don't have the health plan as much to manage the risk for anymore. So maybe they go ICHRA, and all of a sudden some disease management or on-site, near-site clinic type arrangements maybe don't make as much sense anymore. So they've got this budget that opens up, and they're able to think about like wellness differently for their employees. So I'd love to talk to us about like what is and I know that you guys can serve any type of employer, but what are some similarities as you think about like the typical employer that your Moneyline serves?
Yes, I think the ones that end up being the most successful are going to be employers who have a culture of wellness in general, right? Or total rewards. They have hopefully a robust wellness program, but if not that, just are invested in wellness and well-being for their employees. Also those typically who are middle income, but not necessarily educated in personal finance. Well, most of us aren't educated in personal finance, but think sectors outside of, an accounting or something like that. A lot of professional services firms like consultants, marketers, et cetera, where they have a high level of education, but, sometimes employers take for granted their level of personal finance education. Also, manufacturing is a really strong fit to be able to provide that resource to those employees and meet them where they are. Healthcare is another one because healthcare organizations tend to have a lot of diversity in their income levels. They've also got student loans that can benefit from working with financial coaches or our tools to get those student loans paid off, or if they're a nonprofit hospital, work on public service loan forgiveness, which is a program we can help them through. So those are the ones that are the most successful. I think the problems that come about that drive someone to look at financial wellness would be increases in 401k loans, things as extreme as wage garnishments, which a lot of employers are seeing an increase in wage garnishments. So those are lagging indicators of a growing financial wellness problem or financial problem for employees. And so we can really help to have a specific impact on those challenges. Others would be those that, are struggling with employee retention and they want to show employees that they're invested in their whole being.
Yeah.
And the financial aspect is a really key part of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that. So you talked a little bit about like some of the bigger problems or like, I would say almost like triggers of like, hey, if you're a wellness or a benefits leader and you've got your population struggling to kind of pay off student loans, or there's a wage garnishment kind of issue, those can be triggers of like, hey, you should maybe reach out to your money line. Help me understand, like, obviously, because your solution is a combination of technology and people.
Yes.
We talked about that earlier. What are some of the things that are problems that your technology solves that maybe your people don't solve? Mm-hmm. And then talk to me about like kind of where you guys see the financial consultants or the people solving problems that the technology can't solve.
Ooh, that's a great question. So we started as primarily a coaching company, and so we can speak pretty directly to this. I'll start with the coaches because they can provide a human element that it just is not there yet with technology, right? So having an empathetic ear, having someone to support you along the way to your goals, but also for our financial coaches, understanding principles of behavioral finance and what drives people to make change. So that's things like, okay, let's make a little bit of a dent in your emergency fund, right? And building up your emergency fund to get those early wins to start the motivation, even if we know long-term they need to really increase that emergency fund, right? And so I think that's where the real life changes happen, is the conversations with the financial coaches, because they have the knowledge element and the human element. On the software side, it's incredible what you can do now as well, though. So things like analysis of spending, layering AI insights on top of that, credit reporting, which credit is another really mystifying topic, just like health insurance and health plans. It can help you understand, okay, how can you remediate and improve your credit score in ways that are not always as intuitive and obvious as paying off debt. And when it was just the financial coaches, often they were trying to work off of spreadsheets with people and give them a budget template. And to have the robust technology, it really gives you kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's probably no shortage of like amazing examples where you guys have impacted real people's lives. Mm-hmm. I would love, so at the end of the day too, we like, as an ICHRA administrator, Remodel Health gets asked all the time, okay, I love that you serve my people. What are the business outcomes that you're also driving?
Yep.
Would love to have you share, like, what are some of the KPIs mm-hmm. or ways in which employers that decide to invest in your money line, how do they measure success of like a financial wellness program that you all deliver?
Yeah. And I would say this for any financial wellness program and how it should be measured, right? Whether it's a software like us or, a combination of programming. I think it's the first level is that engagement level. What participation are you seeing? Are you more interested in breadth or depth? If it's breadth and just getting as many people participating as possible, then it is a high rate of participation, a high rate of utilization, people coming back to the software or coming back to the coaches on a recurring basis. I think the next level is impact on the employees themselves. So are their financial lives changing? This gets tricky because we want to make sure to be really mindful of the security of that data and of the anonymity of it. However, we have ways to show on the aggregate, like here is how the employee population has improved. For us, we have a proprietary stability index score, but there's other ways that you could measure that. And we look at over time, is that score improving? Are people paying off debt? Are they seeing relief? And if you don't have access to a software like that, you can do that by surveying, by other methods, to make sure that you're understanding what is the impact on employees. And finally, on the employer level, for us, we're looking at things like a reduction in those 401k loans or more contributions to 401ks. Those are two really big metrics-based ones. We also can look at things like increase in productivity. So PwC has a report that says that the average employee loses 4.6 days a year due to financial stress. So applying that to, average salary and looking at what is the reduction of those lost days. So those are some of the ways, but really want to make sure it's tailored to that employer and what they're looking to do with a financial wellness solution. What are they really trying to impact?
Yeah. Sorry, last question. You got my business mind going. I nerd out when I think about like the future of ICHRA. So like, I'm going to get excited for a minute. Like the thing that like I love too about ICHRA that's totally different than a traditional group health plan that dovetails into the personal finance side of things for people is that with ICHRA, it's like an every year type decision that people can make, where like on the personal finance side, you may be 23, 24, you don't have kids yet,
right.
And you don't have any known health conditions. You can, like with the ICHRA framework, you can take your employer's allowance, you can buy down to a bronze level plan,
right.
maximize what you have left over to then maybe go be aggressive at chunking down debt, et cetera. Versus like maybe you're married several years later and you're planning for your first kid. Maybe for you it makes more sense to buy a gold level benefit because you've got expected like healthcare maybe spend coming down the pike, but it really allows for someone to be much more dynamic versus just a one size fits all health plan, which is like directly aligned to how we should think about our personal finance. So I've got 2 young boys. I know you've got young kids. Like I think about like what our kids hopefully will learn in school that I didn't learn in school around how to think about personal finances. So I love that you guys are on like the front edge. You guys are like leading in like helping people think about personal finance like more strategically.
Right.
And like it's just so connected to this ICHRA framework because it unlocks like choice of how people think about a health plan. So I just absolutely love the work you guys are doing. I just think it's gonna you guys are already making a huge impact, and as your business continues to grow, and I think more employers think about wellness differently and they start to invest in programs like what your money line can offer, it's just going to make a huge impact on people's lives. So I love it. That was me like nerding out for a second, thinking about what this is going to look like 5-10 years down the road as this becomes more and more widespread. So Molly, one of the things that we've also talked about is when you roll out a new benefit, or in our world, if you move from, a lot of our employer clients are moving from a group plan to this ICHRA for the first time, the way that it's rolled out, how you think about the days, weeks, and months leading up to the actual change being effective is like uber critical for it being successful. So would love to kind of hear thoughts from you around how does the Your Moneyline team think about, you get an employer that says yes, yes, we want to invest in our people's personal finance and invest in this benefit. What does a successful like implementation plan look like to roll out the benefit for the first time?
Yes, that's a great question. So we really look at engagement consultations, right? So understanding what are the ways that they can engage with employees, what are the ways that they found successful in the past, and what do we know from our best practices that can help inform that. So for example, a manufacturing population, we're going to use things like magnets on their lockers or a big poster on the door to go into the factory floor. Whereas for maybe a technology firm, we're going to do a post in Slack or Teams and on Workday, really understanding how their employees engage and meeting them where they are, and also making sure that we can meet them at those moments that they have those times of change. So whether it is a change in their health plan that's going to impact their finances, or a life change, right? Because HR is often at the center of that. And so to have a place that they can direct people where they know there's going to be expertise, they're not going to be sold anything, and they're going to be able to get the support that they need is really critical. So we try to make sure that we're plugged into all of those places. And typically we're setting an engagement goal with the client from the outset for the launch itself, and making sure we hit that, and then iterating from there.
Yeah. What is like, how long of a runway is like ideal? Like obviously you're the COO, but I know you've been in the weeds at your money line, actually working to launch clients. Like what's an ideal runway look like to make sure that like people know about this benefit prior to like engaging for the first time?
I think employer size is a really big factor there, right? If you're at a larger employer, you've got to back into when does the newsletter go out from corporate comms, and how do we plug into the sort of benefits calendar of communications, being mindful of all of that. Whereas if you're at a really small employer, it's just an email that goes out to everybody, or we can do a webinar launch type of thing. Our typical process, our typical length is 6 weeks for implementation and onboarding. So it's really lightweight when it comes to the benefits world, but that can vary by employer size and what their sort of communications apparatus is.
Yeah, makes total sense. And I'm sure that like the bigger employers that you work with, they've got, I mean, most times the bigger employers we work with, they've got a playbook.
That's right.
Where they've been offering benefits for a long time. They know what works.
And they want to plug us in.
And they'll plug you in and like work to build a plan that's going to work best for them. At Remodel, like we found when you're going to make a plan change for health benefits, especially the larger employer that you are, you've got to have like these internal champions.
Yes.
So like we're big believers in most of the large employers. So think employers that have over, I'd say probably 100 to 150 employees on a health plan. They will decide way in advance, like I'm talking months in advance, that they're going to move to ICHRA.
Right.
And they'll work with our team, and we will actually roll out like the ICHRA education even to like managers and director levels first, because we know you've got to have champions internally. And that's where employees are going to come when they have questions. Like, so this ICHRA thing gets rolled out and they're like, holy cow, this is confusing.
Right.
Like we hope they engage us, but they don't always engage us first. Like sometimes they'll go to their manager, and if you equip them well, like you're just set up for success with those champions kind of across the organization. So curious if you would agree, or if you disagree, that's fine. Agree or disagree that like that's a very successful way to think about like rolling out a new benefit for what you guys do.
Yes, I totally agree. I think understanding what are those centers of influence at the employer is really key. We do an email series for launch, and one of them is particularly directed at managers, directors, leaders of the company. But then also even thinking about things like K-12 school districts, we will often engage with administrators and even secretaries at the buildings, because those are who employees go to when they have questions at the school level. And so that's very unique to school districts. So figuring out what is that at the employers that we're working with, where are they going for information, who is influential. We can work with a wellness committee. A lot of employers have wellness committees, and so we'll make sure we're plugged in with them, with leadership, any kind of influential group, whether it's leadership and outside of leadership, can really help to make for a successful launch for sure.
Yeah. I love it. And oftentimes too, like you end up helping on a personal level, the leaders.
Yes. Yeah.
They become your biggest champions.
They do.
Like I know when
Yeah.
we have leaders at an employer that have something like specific going on with their health, like if we can do a really good job to serve them well,
Right.
they become like our biggest champion, and they go tell all their friends
Yes.
about this amazing Remodel health, like people that help them pick a plan that worked for them and their family or solve a challenge. I'm sure you guys probably see the same all the time, because as people, that's what we do. Like when we love something, when something benefits us, like our natural response is to go tell people about it.
Right.
So I love, that's like one of the things that like we celebrate a lot at Remodel is like, man, can we solve real problems? We create these champions internally, and then they just go tell all their friends about how amazing we are. And it makes our job so much easier.
Yes.
And we have more people to serve as they engage kind of what we do. So I love how you're thinking about that. Molly, one other question I wanted to ask you is, you all lead with empathy. You make a huge impact on people's lives. Like, share with us a story where your Moneyline has had a huge impact on an actual employee participant's just life.
Yeah, we're lucky that a lot of people choose to share their stories with us, because, you know, this can be really private and confidential, obviously. We had a recent one where someone started working with one of our financial coaches, Alicia, in January, and they had $26,000 in credit card debt at that time. And they have been able to get that down to $2,000. And then the next step from there is paying off their student loans, and they're going to work through the public service loan forgiveness program that we can help kind of shepherd people through. And previously this person thought that that was fake, and they shared they have hope in their financial life for the first time. And we hear comments like that, you know, the numbers behind it are really compelling, but hearing just statements like that is so motivating, and makes all the work that we all do makes us all the more excited about it to continue doing it, because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I love that. Like at Remodel, we're big on like we try to we serve employers across all industries, but like we say we like to serve like purpose-driven organizations. So I just love that you guys are very purpose-driven, and like the impact that you're aiming to make in the lives of participants that engage your benefit. So that's amazing. This has been awesome. One thing I want to like talk about is, and we want to say thanks to Your Moneyline. Your Moneyline is a sponsor.
Yeah.
So this the timing of this podcast was intentional. Your Moneyline is a sponsor for our upcoming ICHRA conference that we call AIM. So it's AIM 2026. This is our fourth year hosting this ICHRA conference in Indianapolis, biggest ICHRA conference in the country. This year we expect between 400 to 500 attendees. Your Moneyline is a sponsor. So talk to me, like, what are you excited about from a sponsorship standpoint to sponsor AIM this year?
Well, all credit to our marketing team. Shout out to Candace, our director of marketing, because this is ultimately her decision. And she really saw alignment between our organizations and the populations that we serve. We talked about this. Different organizations that would have a need for an ICHRA plan are also going to be those that would potentially be a really good fit for financial wellness. So there's a lot of alignment there. There's the Indianapolis tie. We always want to support other Indianapolis companies. And then I think just from a value proposition standpoint, right, more of a human-centered benefit and empathy led, I think was really appealing for us as well. So we're super excited. Come see us.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be, I know there's a lot of employer leaders that are going to be there.
Yes.
And if you're a broker consultant and you're looking for like innovative solutions that you can bring to the clients you serve, like I think Your Moneyline is just such a different type of benefit that still like not a ton of employers from a percentage standpoint are offering the thing you offer. Just like when you look at the grand scheme of things, most employers are still on a traditional group health plan, but we're both in like budding categories where adoption is increasing. So we're just super excited to have you all there. And I think that both employer leaders and brokers, if you want to learn more about Your Moneyline, you'll have an opportunity if you're coming to AIM here in just over a month. Okay, Molly, we're coming up on the end of our time. We ask the same question to every guest that we have. So if there's one thing that you would love to see change in specific to ICHRA in the next, call it 5 to 10 years, like what's one way that you would dream and you would hope that there would be change in kind of the ICHRA landscape?
Yeah, well, like you said, it is still sort of emerging, and we are not at the mass adoption stage yet. So I think awareness, right? Making sure that more employers understand that they have other options for employees, and they don't have to go with the traditional arrangement, and they can do something that is more flexible for employees. So I think understanding that there are other options out there, and making sure that that's more widely known, would be a change I'd love to see.
Yeah, love it. Love it. If you're interested in better supporting your team's financial wellness this year, Your Moneyline offers a free course called Cha-Ching, where you can become a certified workplace financial wellness advocate. To enroll, go to yourmoneyline.com/cha-ching, and you'll even earn free SHRM or Human Resource Continuing Education credits when you complete it.